Productions Report, again with the guys from Ziff.
And you are?
Ryan Payton.
And I am?
James Milky.
And this is?
Ryan O'Donnell.
And that is?
Shane Benthausen.
Right.
Look at that. That's great. You like that?
That was savvy.
So we fast forwarded a week in advance. We got, we're meeting again, right guys?
Yeah. Wow, we're still in Tokyo.
Still in Tokyo.
Long time no see.
Is that the sound of a trickling stream? A babbling brook?
Yeah.
So this is true. We're not recording this in my apartment.
That's right.
We're recording this in the garden of Tokyo Midtown, the new office building that we're moving to.
Of Kojima Productions.
Beautiful office building.
But don't try and stalk Ryan Payton because they got mad security.
Yeah, we got my security guards are waiting outside.
Yeah.
Nice.
They might bust us.
Is that
This is very true. Actually, we're standing in this garden and we're after hours, so there's a chance the security guy's going to come up to us and tell
This
us
podcast is so illicit.
It's guerrilla.
Yeah.
And I thought we'd keep the theme, maybe have like a special theme this time. We talk about maybe a little bit of Metal Gear Solid 2 for whatever reason. I don't know. I've been playing it over again just for fun.
I thought it was a good game.
Time. It's a good game.
Is this just your second time playing it?
Yeah, it's like actually my first.
Oh, okay.
Just kidding. No. I've played it quite a few times, but I actually want to do this show for April 30th because in the game, I don't know if you remember this, but there's a significance about April 30th. It ends up being the anniversary of the time that Raiden and Rose they met, and then Rose keeps asking Raiden, "Remember what today is? Remember what April 30th represents?"
They watched Godzilla.
And they watched Godzilla.
That was also right around the time where I was saying like Rose STFU. But what were you saying?
But what was funny is when I first played Metal Gear Solid 2, they kept talking about April 30th. I thought, this is totally Kojima, because at the very beginning of the game they ask you to put in your birthday, and my birthday is April 30th.
Wow.
And so I thought they just inlined it with my birthday, and so depending on whoever played, like they'll say, what does November 19th mean to you?
Yeah.
I was like,
but
turns out it was actually April 30th.
No matter what you input.
So I didn't know this until years afterwards. When I'm looking at the script, the Word document that I have in my office, and in there it said April 30th. I was like, wait a second here. That's cool.
Yeah.
So what a coincidence. So on April 30th, a lot of people wrote in, but something very kind of scary in a way, like a really strange coincidence. I got in New York Harbor. It's just like what happened in MGS2, with the big shell incident. Right. And a lot of people reported in that there was a ship sinking. Well, it turns out that this ship is supposed to sink. It actually goes down a little bit. It sinks a little bit so it's easier to load cargo into it. Mm-hmm. But there was like all these news camera crews checking it out. Oh, look, there's this big ship sinking in the New York Harbor.
The tanker was going down.
This was on April 30th of this year. And so a lot of people wrote in and said, Mr. Kojima is very prophetic, and he's like the next Nostradamus, which is true. But it turns out, this boat didn't really sink. But
dude, that's crazy.
But yeah, what a strange coincidence. So yeah, thanks to all the readers that wrote in about this news story. It's pretty cool.
So you kind of liked MGS2.
I really liked MGS2 when I first played it.
Yeah. How'd you feel about the ending?
The ending is fine. I'm fine with the ending, except some people on message boards, they found a review that I wrote of MGS2 way back in the day when I was a college student.
Yeah.
And I loved the game then. I still love it now. I love it more now that I know more about it. Let's put it that way. But
key point, what did you give it?
I gave it 4 stars out of 5.
Which is, by most
80%
rankings, a pretty positive score.
But as you guys would vouch for it, you have to look at the rating system. You can't say that's an 80%.
I was doing that just to be the message board
right,
fanboy.
Yeah. But as far as the ratings that we had from like my university newspaper, a 4 out of 5 is very good. It's close to perfect. It's almost a 5 stars.
Right.
And but I did knock the story because I think it didn't make a whole lot of sense. And I didn't know why I was fighting Solidus at the end of the game. Well, now I know why. Is because a lot of scenes were cut due to what happened on September 11th, and a lot of things didn't really add up towards the end. So many things were cut just to be sensitive to what happened, just right before the game went master.
Yeah.
How much?
Like they actually took the World Trade Center out of the game.
Yeah,
one thing.
Statue of Liberty got beat up pretty bad. A lot of stuff was cut. A lot of Codex stuff was cut. But so the game didn't really line up as well as they hoped it would. But there was this whole the argument is, hey, look what just happened a week ago. There's more important things. So they decided to cut a lot of things just to be safe. And they were actually set to go to master about a week before September 11th the events hit, and so they cut a lot of stuff. They took out the World Trade Center out of the background in MGS2 on the tanker stage.
Missing scenes are not. I like. By the time I got to the end of that game, yeah, I was as lost as you were, but I also felt like the ending was kind of convoluted.
It was,
the whole
and I think on
multimedia
purpose.
thing.
I mean, Mr. Kojima, he really went on this whole arc about postmodernism and like this kind of this AI.
Well,
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
mean, if I want to start in why I think MGS2's plot is really amazing and the most daring narrative any game has ever had, I'll tell you, like, when the game came out, I was a huge MGS. I've been an MGS fan my whole life, and I was really busy doing a strategy guide, so I didn't have time to play it. And then one thing led to another, and I never got around to playing it. And then everybody told me it's terrible, and the story makes no sense.
don't let people tell you that.
Everyone's like, it says it's incomprehensible and it's nonsense. So when I finally played it, I spent really close attention. I read every codec. I talked to Rose every fucking time. And, that game says a lot of things and does a lot of things that are very postmodern. And in some ways, the narrative works on a lot of levels. And on one level, it's about Metal Gear Solid. And Raiden is, this archetype of the player of Metal Gear Solid.
Right.
And there are bits and pieces of the plot that are about, like, message boards and about the internet and the dissemination of information, and it just goes on to
It's
like
cool.
crazy
There's so many
levels.
cool concepts.
Yeah, like if you really go back and pay attention to it, it's in ways it was way too daring and far too ambitious, and he was alienating his fan base. But I'm glad he did it because very few people are willing to take that risk and do a true piece of art as narrative. And that's not what people wanted. And when you're given something that isn't what you wanted and you don't want to understand it and you're like afraid of it, you react and you say this is stupid,
right?
And this is it. But I think if in the future people look back and say it was so far ahead of its time.
Look,
I think those are all valid points. I also think that Shane likes to be contrary to everybody else's opinion. He's like the anti-dude.
Well, when I think everyone's opinion
I think he's
is
got great points.
asinine and has blinders on and is a stupid groupthink that is retarded, then yeah, maybe I did go to this game trying to understand it and not trying to
Now he's
see what
doing the
everyone else
indignant
was saying.
thing.
No,
Look at him.
he's
cherry
spot
red.
on, and I don't feel like the need to defend my review that I made when I was a college student. But
You're an 8.
no, Keith, please. No, no, I don't feel the need to defend it because as Shane would probably agree, there are some things that just don't line up, but
That's
I
a
think
good score, and you can be
it's a very good
forgiven
score.
for not having hindsight when the game comes out.
And trust me, it's better to have a guy working on MGS4 that thought that MGS2 still needed some work than to have somebody who thinks that MGS2 is perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's weird about MGS2 is I have more issues with like level design and pacing and some gameplay issues. I think the story is one of my favorite things about MGS2.
I would agree.
I think the Big Shell is kind of a boring location for a huge chunk of the game.
Well, there are
I think so many of those things, like the pacing of Big Shell and the whole game in general, was like, when you go from inside the tanker to outside the tanker, and there are those big open areas, you feel each one of those areas. Like some of the best avant-garde movies really challenge you in terms of like what you can endure pacing wise, and I understand this is a game that's supposed to be entertainment, but at the same time, if you're going for this weird narrative or this challenging narrative, and you're going for this you're trying to tell a completely different kind of story, you're going to push and pull those kinds of things, and you're not going to give people the 4/4 beat. You're not going to give people the action sequence that you might want. So I was actually really okay with the gameplay, and I didn't personally mind riding myself that much. I know you're pretty.
Raiden's gameplay is really fun, actually.
Yeah,
I think people discount that, and I think that his story. I mean, he's like a whiny character, and that annoyed a lot of people. But
I do hate his girlfriend.
Yeah, Rose. But
I don't know if there's any Rose fans out there. I mean,
Well,
write in if you.
she's
love Rose.
an interesting character. She's annoying as well. But the fact that they're annoying. Doesn't mean that they're bad characters, and
That's true.
as archetypes, and as what Raiden symbolizes is very interesting. And I think the ending of that game is actually really great. And because of the things that were cut out, some of it doesn't make sense, and it's a railroad, and suddenly you're in this location, and all these things are happening. But the greater story is pretty impressive.
I would agree, but looking back at the script, I'm looking very detailed right now because MGS4 really is the sequel to MGS2,
Right.
and in a lot of ways, I want to re-record the entire MGS2 game because some of the translation, maybe some hardcore fans might have already realized this if you look at the Japanese or if you look at the original script. Some of the translation is incorrect, and some of the stuff that Campbell says is totally backwards. And there's actually a part in the game that we're trying to fix with MGS4 because the translation in the English version is completely wrong. I don't know how to. I don't want to go into
part?
it.
I'm curious.
Please, yeah.
We're gonna have to figure out a way to tell fans that this was just.
A fuck up.
Yeah, basically. And nobody asked who translated the game. Nobody asked what sex this character was.
So they refer to him as a he or a she when it's the opposite.
Exactly.
Is this
Nice.
why people think that like one of the characters is gay, or no?
We'll talk about it later.
Because there are several. Yeah, there are several like seemingly gay characters in that game, like for real. Not yeah.
Right.
So.
Very
So,
interesting.
I mean, that's just one example. Like, you know, when some lines are in reference to the Patriots, and actually people who play it in English will have no idea because the Japanese players know because they make it more clear. But they could be talking about anything in the English version. So certain things like that have really irritated me.
But like the really daring narrative stuff, like for example, when the codec is going crazy and and they tell you to turn off your PlayStation 2, like. You have to respect that kind of outside the box storytelling. You really do.
Even from a visual perspective, like when Raiden's clothes are off and he's got like the blurry shit all over his
Pixelation, the mosaic,
yeah, the mosaic over his genitals. Like no game has ever tried to do something like that before. I mean, it's just.
But Kojima has been doing that for a long time, in his own incremental ways, like based on what was technologically capable at the time,
But if you look at Shane and I talked about this as well. What makes MGS2 kind of stand out is that MGS3 is like is not that. Is like Kojima saying like, all right, fuck you guys, you didn't like this, and here's me doing what you kind of wanted.
They almost remind me of like albums, and like MGS was like this amazing debut album that everybody loves, and instead of like trying to deal with the sophomore slump, you're like, well, fuck you guys, I'm gonna go left field and do something
do Kid A.
really, you do a Kid A, and then after that, after you alienate half your audience. Because it's so out there, you're like, well, I'm gonna bring you all back because I still have it. I'm gonna give you a traditional, well-told narrative that tugs the heartstrings, it makes sense, it's very cohesive, and like everyone's gonna love it again.
There are still some very definite Kojima-isms in MGS3.
No, I'm not saying they're not.
Crawling up the
up
the ladder where it goes from.
But they're fewer and far between, and they kind of like evoke memories of MGS2. But like, I mean, like MGS2 by and large is bizarre and like. Straight, like if you're going back and playing, you must be like, I can't believe this is the sequel to a game that sold millions of copies. That,
totally.
That average Joes who live in Kansas like, like, and you understand like the outcry, but I think that's what he wanted. Like, even if there are parts in MGS2 that are about how people go on the internet and think because you can post a review of a game on a message board that gives your review meaning and makes it true, and he's saying that isn't true. And like,
well, it is. You can work at Kojima Productions.
Right. yeah. Just because.
And look at Raiden now. Like he's a direct response to the hatred.
Right.
Like the new Raiden MGS4 is in direct response.
I loved it when I did that Kojima cover for OPM, and when I first broached the topic about Raiden and MGS4, and he said, "I will make you love Raiden by the end of the game."
About it.
And at the TGS trailer, when Raiden came out, people were like, "Holy shit!" Everyone's clapping. He's so badass, It's like
people like to see the kid make good on his potential, Like people like that underdog story, and he was so beaten down by everybody who just wanted to play as Snake more,
And who beat him down the most at the very end? It was Kojima himself with the Metal Gear Raiden. In Subsistence, that joke.
Yeah,
right.
It's so fun. Like what
Great
Kojima,
video.
like the fun Kojima had with that character. Just those short movies.
and
stuff.
Rykov. I mean,
Yeah.
And you asked him too, like, why beat up Raiden so much? And then he said,
Yeah.
because I can beat him as much as I want because in MGS4 he's going to be the coolest character.
Yeah, and when we finally saw the trailer and then the next trailer, we were like, oh my god, that's so badass. Do another flip kick. Come on.
it's funny, we didn't even know we were going to be on this podcast to talk about MGS2, but Ryan and I did have this big, long discussion about
Last
MGS2
night.
the other night, and I am personally so excited that this is carrying on that story, and like, because there's so many, like, plot threads that are, unresolved, and like, who's that baby? What happened to Olga? Like how at the end, how can he forgive Rose when he knows what she's done? Like all these things, and like, I can't wait to see what the answers are.
I can say right now, I for whatever reason, it only just hit me right this moment. Like, it just hit me. Wow, this MGS4 is the sequel to MGS2, and these narrative threads, everything's going to get answered.
The Patriots and philanthropy and like all this.
They will be answered.
These things you probably need to go read a fact for 3 hours to even like comprehend again.
Well, that's part of the gig is to kind of communicate to all the fans like, this is actually what happened in MGS1, MGS2, MGS3. Because there's a lot of history and it's hard to keep up with. So.
Right.
And why is Snake skateboarding on Big Shell?
That one I will never be able to answer. So I got a question, or MGS2 question, kind of related, from Beautiful Pino from Italy.
Hey,
he says,
hey, beautiful.
Hey, beautiful. You're beautiful to me. Hi guys, I know it's a simple question, but I need to know, will Quentin Flynn return as Raiden in MGS4? Please respond to me. I think I already responded about this before, but yeah, Quentin Flynn is back from MGS4. And then we also have another letter from HIDECHAN from Chile. He wants Christopher Randolph to be on the podcast, like David Hayter was. And I just got an email from Christopher last night, and he said, yeah, he agreed to go on the podcast.
That's cool.
So,
Awesome.
Super cool.
so everybody in the comments side of this blog or this podcast, write in your questions to HIDECHAN, to Christopher Randolph, and I'll try to ask him as many as possible when I go to LA next.
And get stoked.
That is awesome. That is really
it's gonna be
cool. HIDECHAN rules.
Yeah, he's very cool.
He's really into his sister, his mom.
Yeah.
And Christopher Randolph's very cool. It's fun to work with these kind of voice actors, because some guys they come in and you play them back the clip that they played of a character they played 3 years ago. Oh yeah, I remember that. Okay, and they'll continue on from where they left off. But there's other guys that say, now what's happening with my character this time? Those are the cool characters, and that's like Christopher Randolph.
Well, and like from the TGS trailer, obvious he's changed. His character has.
He's cool.
The world has changed his character.
He's grown up,
Yeah.
and he's fun to work on.
Listens to My Chemical Romance now.
He's very emo.
HIDECHAN's got an emo. What do you
got
think of
an
that
edge.
jacket? You like that white jacket he's got?
Yeah.
He's got the best webcam in the entire world.
I'm curious. So, if you were to play the version of MGS2, what do you recommend? Is it the PS2 Subsistence? Is that the one you think is like the
Yeah,
definitive?
totally.
Of course.
Oh, the one I have. Wonderful. I should go back and play.
You should.
I've only played that game once.
Like, I think Ryan, of all the people I know, I think if you went back and did a really close playing the way I did, you would get a lot out of it that you wouldn't.
No, I mean,
Did you not really get jazzed over it the first time around?
It's not that. It really isn't. A lot of my problems with MGS have been like little things, control issues. Like
play it on easy. I mean, if
no.
really,
It's not that I.
Ryan doesn't need to. He's a good gamer.
It's not that I don't. That I can't play the game. That I think it's too hard or whatever. It's that I feel like everything else about the game is so good that I want that one thing to step up. And
we talked
about it before. I think
the complexity of shooting.
Like you have to hold down too many buttons to fire a gun in the game, But as far as the story goes, I do remember I finished the game at my roommate's with my friend of mine, and right afterwards, after we finished, we didn't speak. We went to In-N-Out in California, in Pasadena, and we just kind of sat there and I think we both were kind of a little bit disappointed by the end of the game, but thinking back on it and having this conversation that we've had tonight, I do agree. I mean, maybe I'm changed as a person. Maybe I'm more interested in more avant-garde art now. But yes, remembering on all those things are very cool, and no one else is doing games like that, and I have to respect that. Maybe I should go back.
Ultimately,
and give it
I think it is a success because no matter what, it made you think. Maybe it upset you, but it stuck with you, and you're never going to forget these experiences you had in this game. And I think that's part of what Kojima wanted.
Well, he wanted
it to affect you.
Is that your, I don't know, maybe whatever you anticipated or your preconceptions? Because you have some kind of preconception no matter what before you go into something, even if it's a blank page. But maybe you were disappointed at the time, but now that you know what you're going into, you can really kind of wade through at your own pace and kind of enjoy it, and then really seek those things out.
Right.
Yeah.
And that said, we're talking about a game that is very easy to like.
Yeah.
Very easy to love. I mean,
Yeah.
think about that tanker sequence. I mean, just the original demo of that.
Or think about some of the boss encounters. I mean,
Olga.
Ostensibly, they are not as good as MGS1 or MGS3's bosses.
No.
I'll tell you that right now.
No, they're not.
But they're still really creative, and some of the cinematics are amazing. And there's a lot there. There's a lot there to love.
Yeah,
There is.
totally.
I just love walking over the bridge and zooming the camera in and out. The water effects. Snake's got the...
And I actually I guess I'm with you. I like Big Shell. I think it's, if nothing else, the color palette in that. I mean, it's everything.
There's some great rusty orange.
Yeah, I mean,
those moments are evocative. You think about those things because they were spaced out, so you remember that big orange sun-drenched level.
And you remember slipping on bird shit and stuff. You're
Yeah.
the little
or
things.
or the dude peeing off the edge.
Right.
Or,
Do you guys remember when Raiden first swam up to the Big Shell and then he took off his mask and then that snake? I mean,
Yeah.
Choice moment.
And speaking of dude, and that the fucking water effect on the front of the
totally.
mask is amazing.
There are more memorable gaming moments in that game than I think people are willing to acknowledge.
When I first loaded
I
that-
think they
up that game.
submerged it.
when I first loaded up that big shell sequence, after being the tanker, because I've already played on the demo, the Zoe, the demo that came with Zoe.
Yeah.
I already played about 30 times, and like a lot of people did, and then finally got into Big Shell, and then wait, this isn't Solid Snake, and if you play it again, it's totally Raiden. You can totally hear it's not David Hayter, but I actually reset the game and I played it over again because I thought I missed something. Because there's a lot of talking before that, but yeah, it totally blew me away, like something that I did not expect, and that's something that will always stick with me.
Yeah, and I think it's actually a good idea if you're a Metal Gear fan and it's been a long time since you played this game, regardless of how you feel about it, to prepare yourself for MGS4. I think it's a good idea to play this game this year.
Yeah, play Subsistence. Or Substance, sorry.
Substance, yeah.
Yeah, Substance
PS2.
PS2.
You know how big my my Metal Gear collection is, because I've got like the Japanese version, the American version, then the remade Japanese version, and the bonus stuff, and then the greatest hits American version that comes out, then the Xbox version. But that
Oh, we're getting close now.
So we just got kicked out of the Garden of Midtown.
They were pretty polite. They were
kicking
us out,
Yeah.
but they had their batons out. They were prepared to hit us.
Yeah.
they're prepared to hit you.
I just really thought.
They don't hit the Asians.
He's like, what, you prefer MGS2 over MGS3?
Yeah. You thought that was avant-garde? I'll show you avant-garde.
Well, thanks again, guys, for hanging out late night on... What is it? We're closing in at 2 a.m. I think
It's pretty late here
on a Wednesday morning.
Something like that, yeah.
But
We've gotten approximately 3 hours of sleep every night for the last week or so. Thanks, Square. Thanks, Tecmo.
It's fun to reminisce, and I bet at least one of us here is probably going to play MGS2 because he is. So.
Yeah, this trip has made me reminisce about way too many games that I have to go back and play now.
But hey, it's fun.
It's a good thing.
It's fun.
It
It's
is
good.
fun.
It's true.
Yeah.
True. Go back and get your play on.
Yeah, play your old library. Don't let those game tapes sit there and collect dust.
Totally.
Yeah.
Dude, that's not a hard game to go back and play. It still looks good. It still plays
does.
good.
Yeah.
Still fun.
Yeah.
Play it.
Now you get to understand it this time.
All right, guys. We'll have a safe trip home.
All right.
Thanks for having us, man.
Thanks.